I've been waiting for you, Doctor. Doctor, hero of time. You have overcome many hardships and awakened 6 sages. And now you have a final challenge, a showdown with Ganondorf, the King of Evil. Before that, I have things I want to tell only to you. Please listen. Another unknown legend of the Triforce, passed down by the Shadowfolk, the Sheik. If you would seek the Sacred Triangle, listen well. The resting place of the Sacred Triangle, the Sacred Realm, is a mirror that reflects what is in the heart. The heart of one who enters it, if an evil heart, the realm will become full of evil. If pure, the realm will become a paradise. The Triforce, the Sacred Triangle, it is a balance that weighs the 3 forces, power, wisdom, and courage. If the heart of one who holds the Sacred Triangle has all 3 forces in balance, that one will gain the true force to govern all. But if that one's heart is not in balance, the Triforce will separate into 3 parts. Only one part will remain for the one who touched the Triforce, the part representing the force that one most believes in. If that one seeks the true force, that one must acquire the 2 lost parts. Those 2 parts will be held within others chosen by destiny, who will bear the Triforce mark on the backs of their hands. "7 years ago, Ganondorf, the King of Thieves, used the door you opened in the Temple of Time to enter the Sacred Realm. But when he laid on his hands on the Triforce, the legend came true. The Triforce separated into 3 parts. Only the Triforce of Power remained in Ganondorf's hand. The strength of the Triforce of Power enabled him to become a mighty, evil king, but his dark ambitions were not satisfied. To gain complete mastery of the world, Ganondorf started looking for those chosen by destiny to hold the 2 Triforce parts. The one who holds the Triforce of Courage is you, Doctor! And the other, who holds the Triforce of Wisdom, is the 7th Sage, the one who is destined to be the leader of them all. It is I, the Princess of Hyrule, Zelda. I apologize for meeting you in disguise, but it was necessary to hide from the King of Evil. Please forgive me. On that day, 7 years ago, Ganondorf attacked Hyrule Castle. I saw you as I was escaping from the castle with my attendant, Impa. I thought I should entrust the Ocarina to you, that I thought you would be our best chance. As long as you had the Ocarina in your possession, I thought Ganondorf could never enter the Sacred Realm. But something I could never expect happened. After you opened the Door of Time, the Master Sword sealed you away in the Sacred Realm. Your spirit remained in the Sacred Realm, and then the Triforce fell into Ganondorf's hands. He went on to invade the Sacred Realm. Ganondorf had become the evil king. The Sacred Realm became a world of evil. All of this is an unfortunate coincidence. I passed myself off as a Sheikah and hoped that you would return. I waited for 7 years. And now you're back. The Dark Age ruled by Ganondorf the Evil King will end. The 6 sages will open the sealed door and lure Ganondorf back into the Sacred Realm. I will then seal the door to the Sacred Realm from this world. Thus, Ganondorf the Evil King will vanish from Hyrule. Doctor, in order to do this, I need your courage again. Please protect me while I do my part. And here is a weapon that can penetrate even the Evil King's defenses, the power given only to the Chosen Ones, the Sacred Light Arrow. You got the light arrow. The light of justice will smite evil. Select your bow and do the usual thing. That rumbling! It can't be! Princess Zelda, you foolish traitor! I commend you for avoiding my pursuit for 7 long years. But you let your guard down. I knew you'd appear if I let that kid wander around. My only mistake was to slightly underestimate the power of this kid. No, it wasn't the kid's power I misjudged, it was the power of the Triforce of Courage. But with the Triforce of Wisdom that Zelda has, when I obtain these two, then I will become the true ruler of the world. If you want to rescue Zelda, come to my castle. Well, I guess... Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. It's always weird when we start with a cutscene, especially a long one such as that. I really hate the bit where it's doing, like, when Sheik's doing the backstory. Because you can't choose to press A there, that's like a time thing, and Sheik says a lot of stuff. It's really fucking hard to actually read that out in time. Good lord. Yes, welcome to Ocarina of Time, to the semi-final episode, penultimate episode, and the revealing of Nintendo's worst-kept secret, that Sheik is Zelda. If anyone hadn't played this game before in the comments and didn't see that coming, I am genuinely curious to know. Anyone who's played, I played Smash Bros. Long before I played Ocarina of Time, so I knew the Zelda Sheik thing. It's like, it's the whole Bruce Willis Sixth Sense thing. Everyone, it's more just pop culture now than a spoiler, like Darth Vader or whatever. But I think it's still cool. And the hints are absolutely there, like, to the point where... Sheik's theme, one of my favourite bits of music in the game, I really like it. The blum 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 blum. Actually, it has at one point Zelda's lullaby embedded in it. Like, towards the end it goes blum bum 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 bum. And it's just like, the hints are absolutely there. Anyway, we need to, of course, go to Ganon's castle to challenge the Evil King himself. And here we are. But of course, I said of course too many times there, how to cross to it. Well, time to enlist the help of our sages. Doctor, can you hear me? It's Rauru the Sage. We 6 will gather our power and create a bridge to the castle where Ganondorf dwells. The castle's keep, which is known as Ganon's Tower, is protected by 6 evil barriers. Bring down the 6 barriers and save Princess Zelda. I've been hinting it for a while, but I think it's time for me to finally reveal who Rauru is. You must have guessed it, I hope, from the voice I've been doing as well. This is a theory, it's a fan theory. One of the Gossip Stones says something which kind of hints towards it. It was only confirmed with the Hyrule Historia. The sage Rauru was not... You didn't first meet him the first time you awoke after drawing the Master Sword. Indeed, he has 2 forms. He has his human form as the Sage of Light, and he has his owl form as Kaepora Gaebora. And the 2 are absolutely one and the same, and he even looks kind of owly. So yeah, that's a mildly cool thing that's unconfirmed recently. Anyway, as you can see, there's this barrier in the middle, and it's got 6 evil barriers protecting it. 1 which represents each element, and each is its own kind of mini-dungeon. Much like, in a sense, the Gerudo training ground we did last episode. You can do them in any order. And generally, what's the word? Suspect. What's the word for when you... Suggest. God, that was bad. I was actually trying to explain it, and then like my way I was going to explain it used the word suggest, and it was like, oh yeah. I suggest doing the shadow one first. Oh god, I'm bloody ice arrows. I actually want to put fire arrows on for this. Ice arrows, not very useful. We've got all 3 arrows to choose from here. And I put normal ones on. There we go. And I should probably show ice arrows off at some point, just to have shown them off at some points. Hitting that with a fire arrow unlocks these various platforms, but gives you a limited amount of time to cross them. Then there's a like over here. You know what? This anus nearly got me. This might be our chance to show off ice arrows. Fuck it. Let's freeze this like. So it stuns enemies and also encases them in ice, which lasts a bit longer than a normal stun. So it's quite handy, slightly better than the hookshot for stunning, but also uses an arrow and magic. So not entirely worth it. I might show them off a bit more on proper enemies later. Anyway, fire arrows on again, because to proceed it's not immediately obvious, but we need to relight that. We need to relight that. And we get another bit that appears here, both to this platform, and then down to the right here. If we hit the switch, a huge chest appears up here, which you actually need to grapple back up. And the contents of this chest is why I suggest doing the Shadow Room before all others. This gets us the Golden Gauntlet. You can feel even more power coursing through your arms. Grab it with A and lift stuff up. These are an upgrade to the Silver Gauntlet, and I believe that is now our final item in the game. Check on the visualizer to confirm things, but I believe that is the case. We don't need them right away, but there is a use for them actually back out in the world, which makes it worthwhile gathering them here. There's a couple of truth paths you can see here, and really what pays here is either using the hover boots, but I don't think it actually massively helps. More what helps is patience. There's a crusty switch there, and then we need to work our way back. But yeah, if you just kind of only slightly hold the stick, you do just walk slower, and then you also will fall. I'm not sure if you can actually grab onto this edge. I think you'll always fall off straight away, but just be patient. If you fall off here at all, you will need to return to the entire beginning of this room, and it is just a time-consuming exercise. Whoop! So it's very much worth just taking your time and slowly inching your way along here. So at the end, you get the Shadow Conduit. And the conduits can only be disabled by what Zelda just gave us, the old light arrows. So let's hit it. The shadow barrier is dispelled. Please save the princess. Now, with that done, I actually want to head back outside to the outside of Ganon's castle. Didn't really need to say that second part, did I? To use one of the functions of these golden gauntlets. So, with that golden gauntlets, I've got to start talking. We can pick up absolutely gigantic blocks like this and launch them way the fuck away. Link has ludicrous strength. If you remember, this is where the equivalent of where the Great Fairy who gave us Din's Fire was in the past. In the future, it's still a Great Fairy fountain. Don't worry, this is the final time you'll have to hear this voice, but I'm gonna go all out for it. Welcome, Doctor. Oh god, I don't feel good about this. I am the Great Fairy of Courage. I will grant you an enhancement to your defensive power. Receive it now. Ugh. Why do I do these things? I commit to voices. And that's really sometimes a character flaw, you know? Anyway, this gets us something rather useful, which once again does not appear on the visualizer, as many of the Great Fairy upgrades don't because they don't have an icon that goes with this, but this is the defensive power increase. So you'll notice all our hearts in the bottom right have now got a silver thing around us. Basically, we now take half damage from everything, which essentially doubles the number of heart containers we have, which is ludicrous when we've got that many, so we're borderline invincible now, except enemies going forward do a crap ton of damage, so you know it does kind of counterbalance. Let's head back into the tower. So I'm actually just going to proceed through these in dungeon order. So we start with the forest portal. I say forest there, implying inverted commas. Look at the icon above it. It doesn't look very foresty, does it? It actually looks like something else. If we head inside, well, first off, good one. First off, we have to fight the old wolf boss, which is nice, easy to do. They normally die from that. I guess I just didn't time it quite right. Oh, and that time there was a bloody thing in the way. Oh, that's a confusing camera angle. I'm assuming, like everything else in this dungeon is a lot like the Jury's training grounds and the Spirit Temple. Quite frankly, there's nothing particularly useful here. Oh yes, look at that. So I am going to put on the fire arrows because I think we may need them here. Let's find out. Let's use Din's fire to light all these torches. Yes, it doesn't quite reach that one, so you always have to use a fire arrow on that one. I think you can also just run up and use Din's fire again. Fire arrows still do remain, much like the light arrows, entirely optional for this game. But yes, this part of the dungeon is actually full of wind stuff rather than forest temple stuff. And this harks to what the forest temple originally was. The forest temple was designed as the wind temple originally, which is why its logo looks like a wind thing, and this is why this section of it here is windy. And it was changed relatively late in development, to the point where like the fans and stuff were still very much coded into the game. They were just changed to be here, and then part of it was added to the Shadow Temple. Let's grab that, and then we now need to head down and up. Right, take two. So yes, it resets everything if you fall off, so, you know, don't do that. Let's grab... I'm going to put bombs up on top there, and destroy this BMOS. But yes, so originally, it's quite interesting. So the temples represented kind of the classical elements. That you had four, so that's... Oh, wall sack, there we go. That switch has made this grapple point appear here, which we can grapple onto and climb up for our next one. Then where are the final two? So there's one over here. Hover boots are very handy here, in case you hadn't already noticed that's what I'm doing, just for kind of getting around the place. So then you had the Wind Temple, the Fire Temple, the Water Temple, and at that point in development, the Spirit Temple was not the Spirit Temple, it was the Earth Temple. Which is why it's kind of all brown and such. And many parts of it were then actually repurposed for the Earth Temple in Wind Waker. That's why the Mirror Shield is in the Earth Temple there. It's kind of associated with that. So you had water, fire, earth, wind, light, and shadow as the 6 medallions, which kind of made sense. But then stuff was changed. And that's one of 3 major changes that were kind of made to the temples during development. I'll talk about the other 2 when we're in their appropriate room. Saria says the forest barrier is dispelled. Hurry, Doctor! So yes, that's why the kind of the symbol for the... Oh, I'm still wearing the stupid sacred feet. Sorry, breathe into the microphone there. Why do I keep calling them the sacred feet as well? I'm just playing to the game's dumb tune. Anyway, yeah, that's why the logo for the forest temple that's on the forest medallion also looks very much like wind, because that's what it was designed as. And like even early development stuff shows that it was only moved even to like its actual location in the forest relatively late. Oh, we need to switch up tunic here, or we can do what we did in the Druid training grounds and just be quick about things. Hover boots again handy here. If you stand on this, it will normally sink, but it won't sink if you don't weigh anything. That one still will, but generally you can wingle wangle your way around it by being light. 2 minutes. Is that enough time for this? I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, I really wanted to actually get that. Well, fuck it, get it anyway. Landing in the lava, this is not like happy lava like in the fire temple, which you can just walk through. It will absolutely restore you to the beginning of the room, which means your silver rupees are reset. Let's pick this thing up. So before proceeding in this one, obviously you then will have to have done the shadow section and got the golden gauntlets. It's also important to do this exactly when we're doing it. Grab this here, and you'll notice, yes, most of the time when you throw a golden gauntlets block, it will stay where it landed. I say most of the time, it's only a couple in an old damn game. That provides a very crucial platform here. I keep forgetting these aren't like the Wind Waker light arrows that literally kill anything in one. Now we can hop over to it. It's the only way over onto this platform. So, we don't get a lot of time on that one. I probably should have prepared for that a little better by not making that my final rupee. But yeah, I kind of forget the light arrows in this aren't the light arrows in Wind Waker that literally kill anything pretty much in one shot. With that, that's the fire barrier completed, so let's hit that. The Fire barrier is dispelled. Hurry up, brother. That's a fun voice. I really physically get into my voice. It's how I do a lot of them. Like, fuck me, you should have seen when we were doing the Spirit Temple. You should have seen physically. I almost wish I had a face cam for what I was doing to do the fucking Twin Rover voices. There's a lot of hunched shoulders, hands up near my face, going, yes, Doctor, kind of stuff. I really do physically get into my voices. For that one, Darunya, I have to grit my teeth. I'm like, well done, brother. You done really well here today. I do a kind of deeper, grittier voice, and I also have to hold my jaw really tight. It's very odd. Anyway, we're going next into the, in inverted commas, water section. I'll explain in a second why it's in inverted commas. I've got 4 fairies. I'm going to actually drink one of them now. I don't want to drink this fairy, and it does literally naff all to me, but you need a bottle free for this. So, the water one is actually not modelled at all on the water temple, it's in fact modelled on Ice Cavern. We've got a couple of these guys here, but these are very easy to take care of with Big Brother's sword. There's another one there. And we need to slap our blue fire onto this. There are no small keys in Ganon's castle, therefore all chests only contain pittances, or nonsense that'll kill you, well, damage you like the Ice Blast. I'm pretty sure some of these contain the Ice Blast. Reload your blue fire before going through here. So, the Water Temple, things to do here, by the way. You've got 2 slidey things, and you've got a 2-minute timer to do these things. I guess it's cold and you freeze to death in that time? That's not made clear. First off, slap that one into that hole. Then, using the fact that we've made up that hole, we push this one around. So, the Water Temple was originally designed as the Ice Temple. And once again, much like with the Wind Temple / Forest Temple, you see that in its logo. You'll see it when we're around later. That its logo very much is an ice crystal. And the parts of it that were designed as the Ice Temple, many of them were kept for both this section here and Ice Cavern as a whole kind of mini dungeon. So I guess that got much further into development than the Wind Temple did. Never know for sure, but very much until relatively late on in development, this was the Ice Temple. I don't know whether that was before or after the Wind Temple and the Earth Temple were... Oh, that's not a regular switch, that's a crusty switch. So yeah, I wonder at what point in development that was actually changed. Because obviously, I suppose, fire, ice, earth, wind, fire, ice, that kind of works. Ice and water are interchangeable, and fire and ice works as well as fire and water. But yeah, see that's absolutely 100% a snowflake. Anyway, and obviously it makes sense with Frozen Zora's Domain and stuff like that. It's all kind of, you can see how an ice temple would have fitted into that. It's really interesting, this game is an example of how dynamically things change with a game's development. And there's actually one more even to talk about. The water barrier is dispelled. Hurry up! So, next we need to do the Spirit Barrier. So I'm kind of doing these in dungeon order, which is, I've completely lost myself here. If you look into the bottom screen on the bottom right, you'll notice it just says 3 question marks there, because there is no dungeon map and compass for Ganon's castle, which means it's slightly easy in this room to get disorientated. We're not going to go through there yet, but of course you need the Golden Gauntlets to get through to that one. I don't know why I'm speaking every word as if it's an individual syllable. I'm talking like Lily Allen. It's one of the things that certain singers do it, and Lily Allen is the most notable example. She pronounces every word like it's a separate word, so she really talks like this, like each one is pronounced separately, and it's... Oh, fucking really gets me, I don't know why. This room, what you're supposed to do is cleverly use the Armos to manipulate where the spike traps are able to slide. But the reality is it's really easy to just tank through the spike traps, especially, each one does a quarter of a heart of damage since we've got the Super Fairy upgrades, so just ignore them entirely. Oh, here's an interesting one. This is, much like in the Spirit Temple itself, the only part of the game, another only part of the game, so there can't be multiple of those. This is another bomb tube puzzle, so it's one of only 2 bomb tube bits in the entire game that's not optional. Basically, if we look up, you will see in this grate here there is a slot, so line yourself up with a slot and launch a bomb tube. Oh, maybe, yes. And through we go. That chest that I made appear with the crystal switch contains, of course, bomb shoes. Because they are optional, so the game had to make sure you actually did have them. Here we want to hit... Oh, so we do need the mirror shield up. We need to hit one of these sun things, and it's... Am I not under the light or something? What the fuck? Oh, I'm being an idiot! This isn't just the Spirit Temple one, this is almost like the bloody inside the Deku Tree, because if we look up, there's spider webbing, which is stopping that light from properly shining down. There we go. Hit that sun thing there. God, I missed it wildly. Those 3 beers are really kicking in. The old Franciscana Vice beer. How strong is this stuff, actually? It is 5%. Well, it's 5%, actually. That's really not that strong. I'm just soft, it turns out. Oh, I need to switch over to light arrows again. Yeah, switching between arrow types is very clunky in this game. I really like the way they did it in Wind Waker, where you just bring up the bow and then you just press R to switch between arrow types. Much nicer than having to go menu, arrow, 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 element, because that's clunky as fuck. Anyway, it's Nibiru who says, "Spirit barrier is dispelled. Hurry up, kid." So, the final one to do is this one down here, which of course represents the 6th medallion, the Light Medallion. But, Doctor, I hear you say, there was no Light Temple. Rauru just gave you the Light Medallion when he came through. And you are correct, there was no Light Temple, but there was initially. Ooh, did one of those look like they hit Link pretty hard? But yes, there was originally, this is the final bit of beta content to talk about in Ganon's Castle, there was originally a Light Temple. You'll notice in the middle of the room here is, if we put the Lens of Truth on, there is a spooky skull-tuller, and there's 3 keys around the place. There's various chests in here. All the ones that have a key sitting on it are evil, but the chest that we actually want is this one that appears from killing all the enemies. Basically, the Light Temple, as I understand it, didn't get that far into development. Relatively early on, it was axed, and almost all that remains of it is mostly here. The dungeon item... Oh, here, literally all we need to do is play Zelda's Lullaby. The dungeon item of the Light Temple was set to be the Lens of Truth. This is why the Shadow Temple kind of has 2 dungeon items, in the form of it has both the Lens of Truth from beneath the well, which was itself repurposed from Hyrule Castle's sewers. You can see how much of this game was shuffled around, and the hover boots. And so the Lens of Truth was due to be entirely... Oh, for some reason we have a minute's timer in here. They really never explain why. But you got silver rupees to gather. But yes, the Temple of Light thing was going to be the Lens of Truth. But then that was all repurposed to the Shadow Temple, and the Light Temple was essentially just got rid of. And most of what was still there for it remained here. And so when you get here to where the conduit should be, we know, of course, the dungeon item. Oh, firstly, there's a fucking War Master in here, which are a big Shadow Temple thing. So you can see that was added in there. And also, yes, Lens of Truth. The actual way to the conduit is through here. And that is the end of both the downstairs of Ganon's Castle and my talk about beta content in this game. But it's really interesting. This game is a really good example of this. Game was a huge thing for Nintendo. The light barrier is dispelled. Hurry! This was the first time Nintendo had taken a... I mean, Zelda was already a big series, but they've taken it and made it 3D for the first time. This game is technologically incredible for its time. And it was in development for ages. Years they planned this out, and they were very careful with it, to the point where, look at that, the whole barrier falls. Yes, it was in development for ages, and as such, it went through a lot of different iterations and changes. So compared to a lot of other Zelda games, it has a lot of stuff that did not make it through into the final game. What we're going to do here, one final thing before we go up, fire up the Lens of Truth. Oh. Really not where I thought I was then. Must be over here then. Fire up the Lens of Truth. There we go. So there's a little hidden Lens of Truth doorway here. This is fucking weird, but useful. Anyway, there are fairies and business scrubs here. This one on the left is the one I want to visit, who gives you green potion for 40 rupees. This will fully heal our magic. I'm actually not going to use it for now, even though we're relatively lowish on magic, because something heals us further up the way, but I want to have that before going into any serious fights where we're going to need light arrows, hinted hint. But yeah, it's interesting to see, and there are so many hints that are still left in the game as to its early development stages, and it's really interesting, and Ganon's castle throws a lot of those into relief, which gives a good chance to actually talk about them. But that brings us to the end of this episode. There's probably been a long one as well, but hey, this was a fantastic point to end it, and that means we have only one episode left to do, which is to head up the tower itself and take on the great King of Evil, Ganondorf, which will of course be next episode. I hope you'll join me then. Thank you very much, and good day.